So this is the way people communicate. Hollywood is actually very, very good at sending signals using these, and I'm going to show it to you and prove it to you by showing you some videos now. Is our sound up? Yes. Excellent. Here we go.
Boys, come and see this. Great.
You see the moral foundations, shout them out.
Yeah, we can go swimming, yeah. Got it, Lucas. Most scary bit for me.
And the water hit?
When I came up. And that was all on my own. And then I saw the two of you. I didn't feel so scared anymore. If Mommy and Lucas are on their own right now, I'm gonna keep looking for them. One love.
I'm scared.
One life.
I'm scared too.
It's one need.
I think it's mine.
In the night.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there. I know, I'm sorry. I do not need an extended warranty. Okay, sorry. I don't need an extended warranty. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to answer that. Okay. That's who it was. It literally said extended warranty on my screen. Okay, so the impossible there. Sorry about the phone ringing and buzzing. Obviously, it took your focus off of what was important, and I apologize. What messages, which of these in that little clip that I showed you, which of these did you see in there? Caring. Lots and lots of caring, right? Sanctity. Sanctity. Explain sanctity.
The sanctity of the Father being, keeping looking for the rest of the family.
There you go. Okay. That's a new one to me. I've shown this probably 80 times, 90 times. Your intuition is different than everybody else's. So the sanctity of the Father trying to keep the family together was what hit him. What else do you got there? Loyalty. Explain loyalty, someone.
Yeah, when he seen the wave coming in, he seen his child in harm, and knows his Lord. In fact, I got to protect my children.
Yep. Protecting again, something new. Look at this. I come to a new crowd, I get new answers. The loyalty of not only shouting out for the child he can't protect yourself, right, Lucas? But he grabs the other two and immediately starts running away from the wave as the wave is coming in. The loyalty of trying to protect all three and knowing he can only do two at a time. Okay, what else do we got? Committing to look for the mother, that loyalty there, yes. That being selfless, so that would go under probably caring. Now, your intuition will change over time. That's the good news. You can change people's intuition over time. Their experiences will change their intuition. Something funny, I show this video all the time. I went away for a wedding and I came back and I saw something new. There's the scene where she's hugging on to the tree branch. She's covered in mud. And they pan down, and the only thing shining in the picture is her wedding ring. I never noticed that until I went to a wedding. My intuition changed because I had just experienced a wedding. So that would be sanctity to me, them trying to focus on the wedding ring and the sanctity there. There's also another scene, I didn't show you it, I think it's at the end where they light up some torches, and they put them out to remember the victims. And that's definitely a sanctity thing too. But it's not in the piece I showed you today. Somebody once told me liberty. I said, where did you see liberty? He's like, well, the wave oppressed everybody equally, so it's a liberty message. Okay, whatever your intuition sees is what your intuition sees, so I can't fight with that. For time's sake, we're going to skip this one. It was Mulan. Okay, so let's talk about how to apply these in the real world. So Jonathan Haidt went out and he did studies, and then in the Western cultures, he asked people to plot to identify where they stood politically. And this is the plot that came out of it. And look how beautiful that is. It charts so wonderfully. So very liberal people put a high emphasis on caring and fairness and reject pretty strongly things like sanctity, loyalty, and authority. This should probably come as no surprise to anybody. Think about the types of messages that like Bernie Sanders puts out. Bernie Sanders doesn't talk about going to church, does he? What does he talk about? Caring and fairness. I want a $15 minimum wage because that's fair. I want to stop corporations from abusing people because that's fair. I want to have free tuition because that's fair. The $15 minimum wage is what's caring for families, right? So, very liberal. Everybody thinks that they should cross where moderates are, but it doesn't. So when you're talking to legislators at the middle of the road, again, caring and fairness ranks higher with them than the others. And where they actually cross are like your social conservatives. Most states have a majority Republican legislature, so you're going to find a lot of social conservatives. So for any time you're talking to generally a Republican, you're pretty good at talking about any of them. Authority, sanctity, loyalty, caring, and fairness. If you're talking with Democrats, you're going to want to stick with the caring and fairness because they put a higher value on caring and fairness than they do the rest. Does that make sense to everybody? So as you're directing your lobby team on what types of messages to spread, I want you, if you write down nothing else today, write down the words caring and fairness. Because those are the two that everybody applies to. Because even social conservatives put an equal emphasis on caring and fairness. The only people that are like caring and fairness sort of fails, and they're still got more than a 50% endorse, are like the very conservatives. And there you're talking about people that go to church multiple times a week, people that don't have any divorces in their family for generations, except I'm more social conservative than the very conservative area. The homeschool, when you think of the very conservative, think of like the Hutterite communities or the homeschool rural families. If you've got a legislator from there, maybe you talk about authority, sanctity, loyalty with that type of person. So maybe you talk about how the current law upsets the authority of both parents. It upsets the authority of the father to be able to say, here's what we should be doing with these children by taking him out of the picture. And that's why we need to have a message that's more fair. So that would be your very, very conservative people. But mostly, or even better yet, look at this one. Okay, so if you've got, let's say, a rural conservative legislator who his kids homeschooled, maybe you talk about the current law allows for moms to take their children out of religious education. Whereas we want to change this law so that the fathers have a right to say, no, our kids need to stay in religious education. See how I just used the sanctity message on that person? Now, I would never go up to like an Elizabeth Warren and use that message because it would fall on deaf ears, right? Because she's over here, and the sanctity message is way low. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's important to know who your legislators are. You may have noticed liberty was missing, and it's because liberty doesn't chart out the same, because again, liberals care about liberty. And again, they put a pretty strong emphasis on it. They hate oppressive corporations. Social conservatives, it's the same as everything else. They all cross, right? Occasionally, you're going to have more libertarian people in the legislature. Anybody here a libertarian? He's a libertarian. Sir, your brain may look something more like this. Liberty, oppression, super thick because you hate oppressive government, you hate oppressive corporations, you hate oppressive people, you want fairness, and all the rest they're just not very thick. Now, I showed this slide at a libertarian conference. That's actually why I put it into this presentation. And the head of the Libertarian Party in Nevada said, but Dena, I give to charity. I do volunteer work. What do you mean I don't care? I'm like, well, let me just put it this way. I'm running for mayor because I care. He's like, just stop. I can't take any more of that message. I said, that's why it charts out this way. It's not that libertarians don't care or that liberals care more. It's that the way you respond to the message is different. And that's why you need to be careful about how you are presenting the messages to the different legislators, especially when you're meeting one-on-one. Now with testimony, it's kind of an across-the-board thing. So that's why with testimony, it's pretty simple to stick with your caring and fairness when you're doing testimony, because everybody responds to caring and fairness, except for the libertarians. Well, libertarians do fairness, but not caring. Does that make sense? Okay, excellent. Politicians are pretty good. Let's take a look at this quick thing. Volume up. Volume.
Chemist.
I want to be a surgeon.
That's why we've invested more in our schools than ever before.
I want to be an artist, a doctor,
Architect. Engineer.
Thousands of new teachers, more computers, and after-school programs.
I want to be.
I want.
In New York, you can be anything.
I want to be governor.
Me too.
Prouder. Stronger. Better.
Okay, does George Pataki care about kids? She says no. Okay, override your intuition for just a moment, just based on the video alone. According to his commercial, does George Pataki care about kids? Yes. Did he ever even say, I care? No. He said, I want to spend more on schools because then they get better outcomes. We can spend more on teachers, we get better outcomes. Does George Pataki want things to be fair for kids? Based on this commercial. Yes. He said, if we spend more on schools, kids in rough neighborhoods have a better shot. That's a fairness argument, right? Good. Okay. Oh, look, it's as if there was a slide that just demonstrated what I said. You spend more on schools, you get more teachers, you're better prepared for the future. Spend more on schools, children in tough neighborhoods get a better shot. You don't need to sit in front of the legislator and say, well, I want this law changed because it's uncaring. I want this law changed because I care. You can say things like, the current law leads to a higher risk of negative life outcomes, such as opioid overdoses, and addictions, and joblessness, and dropping out of high school. You know, that's a caring message, and it's also a fairness message, as a matter of fact. It's not fair that kids from intact households have got a better shot just because the parents couldn't figure out a way out. So this is the way to balance the playing field for these kids, is to have equal shared parenting. Does that make sense? Excellent. Here's another one. Actually, no, I don't like that one. Oh, yeah, wait, this is a good one. Okay, let's turn up the volume.
Roger and I decided that we wanted to move to the villages. We were ready to retire. We were both 60. He was in the military. I had the business for 10 years. My husband and I are both concerned about the virus and catching it. I know other people have things a lot worse, but we feel trapped here because we can't go to be with the ones that we love. My husband and I have been gifted with 2 beautiful grandchildren. We try to see them as often as possible, and it's been 6 months, and it's way too long. And while I don't blame Donald Trump for the virus, I blame him for his lack of action. And because of that, we're sitting here Zooming or FaceTiming with our grandchildren instead of hugging and kissing them. And that's hard. Joe Biden knows that every moment is precious. I trust Joe Biden to get this virus under control.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Okay. I don't care if you agree with the message or not. Does Donald Trump care about kids, according to her, or care about grandparents? Not according to her. Are Donald Trump's policies, according to her, fair? No. This message, this was a very simple commercial with simple words, simple, easy to understand, right? You too can tell a good story. You could take this type of message. It has been 4 months since I saw my kids. Why? Because the way the current law is, my ex-wife was able to move across the country. 2 times. Jeez. My kids I have to Zoom with my kids. It is not the same. And that's when I get lucky enough that they're home. You know, you can build a message very similar to that about equal parenting, shared parenting, right? Okay, so basically, and what did that one focus on? It didn't talk about really authority, loyalty, sanctity, caring, fairness. It was all about the caring and fairness. It didn't, I mean, there might have been, you might say, well, Dena, the sanctity of the grandparents' relationship is being abused. Okay, I get that. But the focus was the caring and fairness. It wasn't the sanctity, loyalty, liberty, right? Although she did say we're trapped here. That's a liberty message. So I want you to start thinking about writing your testimony, because I'm going to go over the next step is we're going to actually start building your testimony. And so how do we craft messages that are going to go up this acceptance side? How can we work with the intuition of the people who are deciding our fates, who are choosing what the law says? Because as he said, I tried to make that argument in front of the judge, and the judge said, shut up, I don't care. Because the judge can't care about your emotions. The judge has to look at the law and say, this is what the law says, here's how I'm applying it. They are not allowed to say, well, I know the law says this, but I've decided not to apply it. Because he loses his job. She loses her job if she does that. She has to take the law and apply it. So that's what your jobs now are, is to go to the state house and say, here's what the law is, here's what it should be, and here's how we change it, here's why we change it. And you're going to take people with you to give these messages to the legislators. And you need to guide, as an expert, as a leader who has been in this training, you need to work with your people to say, here's how we get our best, most persuasive, thank you very much, our best, most persuasive, most influential message across to this person, and here's the best message for this person, and here's the best message for this person. Because since they all have different intuitions, the messages might change as you meet with them. Does that make sense? So at the end of this, we're going to practice. A couple of y'all are going to have an opportunity to practice your actual messages. So start thinking about what you want to write.